Welcome to this video. This video is about commitment issues, wanting what we cannot have, and addictions. So last week I received a message from a young lady, and let me go through and read the message. I'll break it down, and I'm going to begin to provide some insight into what this may mean for her and what this may mean for those of us that are struggling with commitment, that have a fear of commitment. I know I had massive barriers and massive fears around commitment myself, and also addictions in terms of really being drawn to and magnetized towards what we know is not healthy for us. And let's go into what that potentially could be masking or covering, which could be a variety of things, of course, because everybody's so different. But more importantly, what could be the source of that? So let me read this out to you first. I'm very attracted to / in love with a person I cannot have. He's my co-worker and he's in a serious relationship. Probably a manifestation of my commitment issues and or addiction to creating drama and chaos. I'm very aware of my patterns, but cannot help but thinking and fantasizing a lot about him. What is your take on this? How do I stop the obsessive thinking? And where do I start healing the issues I have? Thank you. So the great thing about this is that this woman has awareness. She has awareness that she's pursuing or thinking about something incessantly that really isn't healthy for her, that really isn't aligned with who she wants to be and what she truly wants out of the relationship. But the reality is it's feeding something within her. But let's go into some of the tools that she may begin to elicit. And this isn't just her, of course, this is for all of us that we can use and leverage to help us shift the pain that we're in. I remember for me, when commitment was a massive issue for me, and it really, all of that, the tension and the issues around commitment and around freedom really didn't shift for me until I was taken to my edge. I was pushed into a very difficult, painful place where I came face to face with the guilt and the shame and the fears that I was experiencing, that what I was actually suppressing, and I was doing a really good job at suppressing it. And so when I had the choice, or I created the circumstances in my environment to then choose, do I want to continue this path of ignorance and continue this path of being completely disconnected from my authentic truth, or do I want to go deep down the rabbit hole and actually figure out why I'm behaving this way, why I'm behaving in a way that is not healthy, why I'm pursuing women that aren't healthy for me, why I'm being unfaithful in relationship, why I'm so avoidant of deep intimacy, why I'm fearful of commitment, and why I feel constricted and not free when I'm in relationship. Because that, believe it or not, that's not a normal thing to feel. So I started asking myself these questions, and I started going deeper and deeper into self, and it was a process, a lengthy process. And for me, and I think for most of humanity, where human consciousness is today, we have to hit rock bottom. We have to learn the hard way in order to cease to learn the hard way. And I'll elaborate on that. For me, I had to hit rock bottom multiple times and have my face dragged across the jagged edges and rock face of rock bottom to figure out that's not what I wanted to be. And when I say that's a development or an evolution of the human collective consciousness of where we are today, I'm speaking to how we're growing through and maturing the evolution of our soul and our spirit. I know every time that I'm being asked to up-level myself, and this woman here, she's at an opportunity to up-level herself, to break an old pattern, I would say, something that she's been running from a long time. When we have that opportunity, or when we're taken to that place, it usually, not always and doesn't always need to be this way, but involves a very painful set of experiences. And that's how we learn best. Not because that's the construct of being human. It's simply because of where we are now in a maturation process and the evolution process of our collective humanity. And that is shifting massively. I know I went through many, many years on whenever I'd make any change, I had to do it through experiencing extreme bouts of pain. That over the years has diminished massively, and I do not need to go to those places anymore because I'm choosing to learn very openly, very transparently, and grow through the experience that I'm having. But let's go into some of these questions. So she's aware of her patterns, but she can't help thinking about him and fantasizing about him. Humans are really good, this mind is very, very good at focusing on what we truly want. And so we live in a reality of duality. She's obsessing, we obsess and we become infatuated and we become hyper-focused because we're focusing on one aspect or one expression of this person. We're taking or assuming a lopsided view of what's being presented. And so my advice here would be, begin to notice the subtleties and the nuances of this person's behavior that you don't like, that you don't resonate with, that doesn't align with your values, that don't match and mirror. And that's not to hate on the person or to push them away and say, oh, I hate you, I really don't like you, now I don't have to be in love with you or obsess over you. Not at all. The outcome of getting a more balanced perspective of that person or whatever's in your environment means that you'll look at it very differently. So it can be as simple as writing an inventory of all the healthy qualities or good qualities of this person and all the unhealthy qualities of this person. And you've got to get really real with yourself here. So taking that inventory is really important. What was your experiences? What were your experiences around commitment growing up? So what were your experiences around witnessing commitment when you were growing up? That's important. How do you define freedom? How do you define commitment? This is important. And so this begins because what you experienced growing up as a child, what you experienced, what you were witness to predominantly through your primary caregivers, and what you were witness to growing up in life around relationship and intimacy and commitment and freedom, these are all symbols for how you interpret your adult relationships, how you behave, what you move towards and gravitate towards, and what you pull back from, what you're magnetized towards and what you're not. And so asking these questions are very, very important. How you define commitment will define the type of people you bring into your life. How well you know yourself will define the quality of people and the alignment in values that you draw into your life. Another key question to ask is when we say that we're addicted or obsessing about someone or something, what is the addiction providing you with? Usually addictions come because we're trying to fill a void. What is the void? What are the fears surrounding that void? And this is the place that we don't want to go. These are the places that we don't want to go because they're painful, because they fucking hurt. Because for so many years, I personally avoided going to these places. I avoided going to the depths of pain and sorrow and touching these fears because I didn't want to deal with them and I couldn't deal with them. And that was the truth. And so this issue of commitment and freedom, we have to understand what it means to us. So for me, and I want to give you an example here that may apply to so many different men as well, but not only men, but women also. I grew up in a hostile environment. So I witnessed my parents being very abusive to each other. They were married, they were in a union, they were parents, of course, my biological parents, and they were violent with each other. They were violent towards me, violent towards my brother, emotionally abusive. They were hostile towards each other. There was very little love expressed, yet they remained together. So unconsciously, I became this witness to this experience of a couple staying together yet hating on each other. And so when I grew up and became an adult, I applied unconsciously so many of these beliefs and understanding of what a relationship was, or what a distorted version of a healthy relationship was, into my own personal adult experiences. And so my own intimate romantic experiences were always faced with conflict. Every time we became intimate, I would push away and I would start to behave in a way that was simply mimicking my upbringing. And see, my primary caregivers, my parents, weren't the only example of that. So many of my friends also had parents that were like that. So I was witnessing multiple sets of relationships that were really unhealthy. And that formed my unconscious belief systems that laid a foundation for what I attracted in my life. And so that's it's a wise starting point to have. It's a wise starting point because it gives us an opportunity to go deeper into ourselves. The next thing I would say, because the next part of this question is, how do I stop the obsessive thinking? And the core of it is to get to the core of our issues and heal those old wounds, or at least begin to heal those old wounds. Something else that you can do in the interim as well is what I call healthy or deliberate distraction or conscious distraction. So you're very aware that you're distracting yourself with healthy alternatives. So that could look like exercise. That could look like spending time with people that can actually love you and care for you in such a way that is open and transparent. See, this hidden love that you're sharing with this man or that you're projecting on this man, it cannot be received. And so something else that I would say there is, where is your self-worth? Is it really here and is it integrated? Because if you're pursuing someone, if we're pursuing someone that is not healthy for us or cannot reciprocate that love and that care and that affection or the energy that we're giving to them, here's the issue. Our self-worth is low because we're unable to receive and we're not allowing ourselves to receive. And so that's very important. But let me go back to the deliberate distractions for a moment. Distract yourself with aligned activities. Have fun. Be with people that love and care about you. Engage in hobbies that are meaningful. Explore new ideas, new things, new activities. Novelty is key here. And also surround yourself with love. And how can you engage in self-love practices? Because part of all of this is not just what you witnessed growing up and what you experienced, but also how you see yourself. So can you give to yourself in a way that is healthy and connected? Can you sit around yourself with people that can provide you with authentic, uninhibited love? Of course, there's a lot more to say on this. I'll leave it there. Many blessings on your journey. Thank you for being here. I'll see you again soon.